Hello, Lake Wales. It's a nice Sunday afternoon, May 5th. How are you, ladies?
Oh, I'm just fine. How about you, Charlene?
I'm very happy to be here chatting with my two other wicked friends.
On Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, happy
And
Cinco de Mayo.
glad to see you both have your W's on today.
Yeah, I have my little
Mine
W
fell
on.
off.
I got a pin on there. Little
Yeah.
pin.
My pins are all upstairs. I don't want to go up and get it right now.
It stands for wicked women.
Yes. Wicked wise women.
Wicked wise women.
Wild, wicked, wise women.
Oh, I'm liking that. Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of W words.
All we need is a picture of us sitting on camels with a star above.
Get that biblical theme, or what's going on?
Okay, let's get started here. Oh gosh. Well, I guess Tuesday we're back at it with a city commission meeting. This will be Tuesday, May 7th at 6 p.m. And we've got a real positive thing happening that night. What is that?
Oh, the installation of our new commissioner and the reinstallation of Commissioner Williams also, Carol Gilespie and Daniel Williams. And while I'm thinking of it, because of that, the numbering of the agenda is different this Tuesday. Anybody who's planning to speak, don't accidentally put down number 6 for comments and petitions on your speaker's card. You got to put number 9.
And you have to do it early because I just received something from the Lake Ashton Democratic Club that they're encouraging all of their people to go there to support Carol. And I imagine there'll be a lot of people there this time.
Oh,
So
get there early.
if you want to speak, you're going to have to fill that form out a little early this time.
Well, just a reminder that this election is nonpartisan, and I think there was definitely some nonpartisan voters and some Republicans that supported Carol. So hopefully it'll be a good cross section of the community that's out there cheering her on. And Daniel Williams, who is our incumbent, he's coming back for a second term. So he's not going to be a newbie anymore. He is going to be actually sort of an experienced city commissioner. So we're going to have high expectations for Daniel this time around. And also there's kind of an interesting agenda for the meeting. I don't know if it's because they're doing the installations and they didn't want to do anything too heavy, but there was basically one plat, what is it, like a zonings issue?
Yeah, it's a final plat that it doesn't even, the commission actually by law is not required to do it. So this is the second time they brought final plats forward, even though it's not required for commission approval. So it'll be.
They might be doing that. Why might they be doing that?
I don't know.
Is that the one where they're removing the rear loaded product from the I don't know if that's the one.
No, I think that was last time. But I can't remember for sure.
That was at planning and zoning.
Pardon?
That was at planning and zoning.
Yes.
I'm not sure if this is the same issue that was brought forward or not.
I don't think so, but I won't say that for sure. I don't know.
There's about 8 items on the agenda for the Public Utilities Department, things like pumps and pipes and different things like that. I'm not sure why they put everything as a separate memo and ordinance, but if you're going to have to wade through a lot of just kind of technical stuff with Sarah Kirkland as our Public Works Director. But you want to talk a minute about what happened last week with regard to the business incubator, BizLink, that is down on Lincoln Avenue that some of us had voiced concerns about and had gotten our little wicked designation from.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just think that when I first heard about the fact that one of the partners was being arraigned, accused of embezzling, actually,
Grand larceny.
$200,000. Yeah. My first thing that I felt was really angry because, that money was really for the Northwest District. And we need an incubator there, but we need an incubator that's run legally and that's giving good advice. And I was angry that whoever was responsible for hiring those particular people to do it, and I understand that they are not a nonprofit, they're a for-profit, that they, they chose someone who doesn't run their own business very well. So that was my first feeling about it, and I'm just waiting to see what other things are going to come across about that.
Well, I had an angry reaction too, but it was that, but it was something else also, and that was the fact that that a lot of us knew, we just could tell from what we picked up that there's something wrong with the BizLink thing. We don't know all exactly what it is, but we saw the expose that Robert Connors did in the LakeWalesNews.net. He got one or two things wrong, but basically it was an accurate story on behalf of the public. And the commission denigrated him for that. They just really hit him hard. And I think this arrest of the chief financial officer is somewhat vindicating for Robert Connors.
Definitely. Robert Connors has the newspaper LakeWalesNews.net, and he often runs articles about what's going on locally here in Lake Wales, and provides a lot of information to the community about what's going on, as we're trying to do as well. I think that Robert may have some advertisement and that type of thing on LakeWalesNews.net, but we're kind of doing this out of the, because we feel a community service. I'm calling it citizen journalism, is what we're engaged in, ladies.
Yes.
Okay.
You've heard of citizen science, right?
Yeah.
Like Cornell University has an app where if you're a bird watcher, which I am, sort of a bird watcher, you can load and you can listen for birds. It's a really awesome app. Like, it has like a thing where you can listen for the birds and then you can identify them. And so they collect all this data from all over the country, maybe even the world, and they load it into their data sets and stuff like that to help them kind of be able to track where birds are. And so they call it citizen science. So I'm thinking that what we're doing is citizen journalism, because, we're adding to the knowledge of our community about, civic issues.
And
one more thought, I'll finish. One more thought is that city government, well run, is often quite boring. You want it to be boring, but sometimes ours is a little too exciting, I think.
That's exactly what Commissioner Gibson said at that last meeting. He listed 5 things, and I wrote them down, that he was concerned about that had happened recently that he felt was, damaging to the reputation of Lake Wales. He named the police department, Autumn Coachella's leaving, the city manager's leaving, the Lake Alta issue, and the audit of the FDC. But he forgot 2 things, and I'm going to say this at the city commission meeting. He forgot all the rather scandalous expose that has happened in several news venues with regard to our mayor. And he also neglected the most recent thing of all, which was the arrest of Charles Young. So I think he helped bring it to the fore there, and we just need to pick up on it a little bit.
Well, I just hope that people don't misunderstand that the questions that were raised to try to make it a better experience for the people in the Northwest District. No one was saying we don't want businesses there. We were just saying that we want businesses to get good advice so that they can be successful there. It was never, a black or white kind of thing. It was really a wrong or right kind of thing. And, we need people to understand that. And the same with Lake Alta and anything else. You raise questions because you want to see things go smoothly. And if you sense that something is not, then it's the time to ask the questions, or before something happens, not after. That's just the way that I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and just to be clear, Autumn Coachella, who is the Director of Growth Management, has stepped down. However, she's still there working as a consultant, which our city has a penchant for doing. And I don't mind, because I think that Autumn actually does a pretty good job. I'm really sad about losing Autumn. And then, James Slayton is not absolutely leaving. He's apparently, according to some articles on lakewalesnews.net, he's applied for a couple of jobs, and he may be in the running for a couple of these jobs. But to my knowledge, he hasn't left yet. And also with regard to Lake Alta, I have some continuing concerns. We thought we had kind of turned the corner with that project when the city commission voted 3-2 not to rezone the property to allow 24 units. The property at Lake Alta, that 1.7 acres, is still 6 units on that property. And that's what the neighborhood wanted. And then the other thing was to keep Lake Alta as a city park, not allowing this development to use it as a retention pond and call it green space, so that they could jam all these cottages on that little piece of property.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Robin Gibson, he indicated that they still haven't resolved the issue of what's going to happen there. But I thought it had been resolved.
Well, what they did was they voted down the current iteration of it. So now we're back to the 6 lots that the builder owns, that he can now proceed to build on, and which he has said he will do. Of course, there's always the possibility, I think, that he could come back with yet something different. We haven't seen any indication that he's doing this, but he could do that. And so we need to keep an eye out for what happens in the Planning and Zoning Board if he comes forward with anything new. And the other thing is, we need to keep an eye out for what goes on at the CRA, the Community Redevelopment Agency. They meet the second Tuesday of every month at 2:00. I don't know if they have a meeting this month, but we'll watch out for it, see if it shows up with an agenda, because that's where they would have to act to return the park to the city if they're going to do that.
Well, I hope that they're wise enough, if they're going to come back with yet another way to do it, that they're going to be smart enough to realize that they better not be including that park. Because that was a real sore.
Yes.
Getting picked.
We do not need to be giving away parks. I wanted to kind of talk just for a minute for this idea of Lake Wales Connected, our first city plan, and Lake Wales Envisioned, which was our second city planning process, where a lot of people in town came out and participated. And there's been a lot of discussion about creating like a green network in Lake Wales. And one of the things that I've kind of noticed with some of this planning is, we get these PDPs, planned development projects, for a specific little parcel of land. And they go, okay, if you set aside this much green space, then you get your PDP or whatever. But there does not seem to be sort of a grand overarching plan of how we're going to create an integrated, connected community. You still have these little pods, these little subdivision pods with their gates and different things. And there's no connection between them to create a community. and I think that's something that I might want to bring forward to the city commission, that we have to have an overarching plan, not this type of like we're planning pod by pod.
Mm-hmm. When I heard about Lake Wales Envision at first, that's what I anticipated that we were going to end up with. And we didn't end up with that. What we ended up with is a good start toward that, but it's not a big picture.
I think it's a little bit difficult for them to think, for everybody to think outside of the box. I mean, Lake Wales Envision is thinking outside of the box. And some people can think this much outside of the box, and other people can think that much. And what we really want is, if you're going to have an interconnected, where you can go from one place to the other with your bike or walking, you've got to be thinking way out of the box.
Yeah. And the other thing that complicates it is this thing called private property rights. And the idea that within limits, a person that owns a piece of property has a right to do with it what they want, as long as they're within the building codes, the zoning and land use map codes of the city. Those things can be changed, of course. So it's hard to acknowledge that, and then still come up with a big picture. It's not impossible. There are cities that have done it. Like apparently Ocala has done something like that, where they've set aside all their horse country for one thing, and they set aside other parts of the city for future growth and other parts for different things. And it can be done, I guess. It just requires a lot of planning and advocating on somebody's part.
Well, and some big picture thinking, like our city, now that we have Lake Wales Envisioned, they've sort of fixated on this idea that if a neighborhood puts in, some units in their planned development project where they're loaded from an alley, they call it rear loaded, that somehow that becomes a traditional neighborhood design. But the problem is a traditional neighborhood design is actually a little more sophisticated than that. It includes providing good tree cover, providing, spaces, interconnectivity to the next neighborhood and the next neighborhood, and having adequate parks in an area so that people are not just, crammed into these one little neighborhood after the next that are just, kind of mind numbing, kind of monotony.
Exactly. In your traditional neighborhood, every house isn't set back exactly the same distance from the street. There's a variety in setbacks and a variety in garages, although we know that we prefer that they not be in the front, but there is great variety in existing traditional neighborhoods, and it's important to attempt to replicate that to some degree.
We've planted a lot of trees on our lot here in Lake Wales. And over the years, like now our little house stands out because we have so many trees over our house. And sometimes when I come home to our house and it's so hot out around the lake and different places where there's not a lot of tree cover, when I get to my lot and walk into my driveway, it's about 10 degrees cooler on my lot. So I really think that tree planting in our community is really critical, particularly as we see more and more of these heat waves and stuff like that. That, really trees is something that's so important.
Yes.
So we have a couple of other things going on here too. That Public Works Week. Sarah Kirkland at the last City Commission said that it was, I guess, National Public Works Week or something, right?
Yes, and they're going to have a proclamation for that at the City Commission meeting. Hopefully, Sarah Kirkland will tell us a little bit more about that, because what she said at the workshop, she just said the week of May 18th. So we don't know if what she's going to do in terms of an exhibit in front of the municipal building having to do with public works. We don't know if it's something that's going to go on all week long or one day or what, but it sounds like a nice idea to help people. They can bring their children and learn some interesting things about what public works is all about. I hope we'll get some more information about that at this upcoming commission meeting at 6:00 on Tuesday.
I'll tell you something. After just spending time with two of my grandsons and the little one, anything that involves a big truck or a big piece of equipment is going to be a big hit among the kids.
Right. Yes.
Have y'all ever been down to the flywheelers below down south off of 27, where they have all the big steam engines and stuff and all the old tractors? It's quite an experience. Something that really ties into the psyche of some people is machinery and equipment and stuff like that. But that's really important stuff. I mean, we're talking. I guess Mayor Hillegas has requested that the city put on a town hall on water. Matter of fact, he asked about it again at the last meeting, and I was very pleased about that. I guess Sarah Kirkland, who does their special projects, is putting it together. And in honor of that,
it's Sarah Irvine.
Sarah Irvine. I'm sorry. And in honor of that, I have been trying to read their potable, i.e. drinking water report, and also their wastewater reuse of water report, one of which is about 174 pages and the other is 340 pages of information. And I have a lot of questions, Yeah.
Plus, they're not recent. They're 4 years old,
right,
which doesn't mean they're worthless. They give us a picture of things 4 years ago, and we know that there are changes between now and then. But it is interesting to look at it because you have no idea of the detail involved in all that stuff. Somebody in the city is on top of that kind of detail, more than one person, I suppose. So that's kind of impressive, I think, that report.
Well, I look forward to the summary, ladies.
Yeah.
One of the reports, the potable water, which means drinking water in layman's terms, was Rice Engineering. I'm not sure where they're from. And then the wastewater reuse of water was by Kimberly Horn. It's another engineering. So these are engineers that the city brings in to talk about water. And I think water is going to be the most important issue going forward for the city of Lake Wales.
Yes. So because of that, I am looking forward to that town hall. It sounds like that the planning is making progress, and hopefully we'll get an announcement in the not too distant future. And when we do, we're going to send out the word to everybody, because it'll be important for people to either attend or watch on TV that water town hall. We'll all learn a lot more about the future of our city, I think.
The other thing, and when was it that they rolled out those impact fee ordinances? When did they discuss those?
That was at the last planning and zoning. No, not the last one. Yes, it was the last planning and zoning board meeting, but it hasn't shown up on the city commission agenda yet.
Right. That was a really interesting discussion. I think we even covered that a little bit in our last Three Little Ladies, the discussion that ensued about impact fees. And that's going to come forward. I kind of wish they would do sort of a town hall on impact fees too, because I think that one is so important. As a matter of fact, they mentioned impact fees in the report on potable water as one of the sources of how to fund future water projects, which, as we know, they're going to be very expensive any kind of alternative water sources.
Once we have a successful water town hall, then that'll give us something to build on. We can start asking for other town halls, and impact fee might be a good one.
And the town halls are just so important because they're a place where people can not just ask questions, but get answers immediately. They don't need to wait until the next commissioner meeting or the end of the meeting to perhaps maybe get an answer. It's a real interactive situation that we really should encourage here in Lake Wales.
Yes.
What is the gentleman's name? Eric. What is Eric's last name that does the PR?
Marshall. Eric Marshall.
Eric Marshall, right. Seems like a nice guy. And I was thinking that I would like to see this town hall put on, like Zoom or something where people could, or like at least broadcast. And then also it would be nice if there was some kind of a platform, whether it's email or whatever, where people, if they're watching, could email some questions to the forum. So, maybe that's something we should ask at the next city commission meeting, is that when they do that town hall, that they provide and make it accessible for people virtually to watch and with questions.
And another question in my mind is, if they hold it during the week when people are working, it's going to limit the attendance of any number of people who might be interested. It would be better in my mind if they hold it in an evening sometime.
An evening, yes.
5:30 to 7:30, something like that.
That's one thing that I have concerns about is, they have these workshops on Wednesday at 2:00 in the afternoon, and a lot of times people, when they want to do a presentation about something, they do it at that workshop instead of at the city commission meeting on Tuesday nights. It shortens the Tuesday commission meetings the next week, but it also deprives the citizens of a lot of really interesting and valuable information about a lot of topics.
Yes.
Yep, that is true. I don't know what the answer to that is. But I think we could look around at what other cities do and maybe find that somebody has a creative way to handle in-depth discussion that is accessible to the public, as well as opportunities to get questions answered, etc. I'm sure there must be some cities that do it right.
And it is encouraging that when you mentioned it, Charlene, when you requested that they do a water, that they do one on water, we did get a good response from Mayor Hilligoss on that.
Yes.
And said yes. And now, it looks like maybe they're starting to realize that they're going to get involvement from people one way or the other. And they probably would be better off to get it answer questions and put, their information out there at the right time.
I agree. Well, I think that the exciting thing about this is that we are getting more interest in the community about these. Like I said, a lot of times municipal government, if it's done properly, is actually kind of boring. Like those reports on potable water and wastewater were not the most riveting reading I've ever done. But they're probably some of the most important issues that are going to impact us and our families and our children in this town.
But that's why we need somebody to summarize it for us in an interesting way and in a concise way, so that we can all understand it and not have to read 350 pages.
Before we go, Catherine, don't forget, please, to put up our Three Little Ladies Lake Wales email. So if people have suggestions,
there you go. Three Little Ladies Lake Wales LW @gmail.com.
Yes.
If people have comments or if you have questions or thoughts on what we're doing, we're, actually monitoring that email address so that it gives us a direct conduit people that are listening.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
I feel like that's about all I have today. some
But that's 30
content.
minutes. That's enough, I think.
I really appreciate you two guys. It's really been fun doing this together, and let's do it again.
Well, we appreciate the fact that you thought of it. You deserve credit because this was your idea, Catherine, and it's been an enjoyable one. I hope people enjoy watching it. I think they do.
I was going to say, it's not only that we appreciate it, but I've had a lot of people come up to me and tell me how much
Yeah.
they appreciate it. So
Yeah.
it's a win-win all the way around. Thank you, Catherine.
Yeah, well, thank y'all for joining me, because y'all always bring really important insights and everything like that. I think before we were sitting around kind of going around and around with all this information in our head, and there really wasn't a place to put it. And then we started realizing, well, maybe some other people need this information too. You know, is there a way that we can provide it to the community in an interesting way? And so we have, like, it's interesting when you're using your kitchen as your sound studio. Sometimes the dogs bark or your phone goes off or something happens, you know, but it makes it real. This is like homegrown news right here.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
all righty.
Well, happy May 5th to everybody. I'm on my way to Babson Park for a postponed family birthday party. So looking forward to the evening.
Time.
Okay.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Bye.